All right, you know what time it is. Live from the Bare Muscle Garage, it's time for Wacky Wednesday with Fit Crew. What do we got in store for you today? Let's go ahead and share this on screen. So for today's Wacky Wednesday workout, we've got a nice 20-minute sweat fest for you here. We're going to be doing as many rounds as possible in 20 minutes of 20 Renegade Rows, 15 V-ups, and 10 dumbbell push presses. So we gotta have more dumbbell today. But hey, maybe we're thinking this seems kind of long. I don't even have dumbbells. Don't worry, guys. As always, we're going to warm up really well, and we're going to go through all the options that will allow you to do this workout or your version of it right where you are, using what you have and doing what you can. But let's go ahead and start this general warm-up. Here we go. Let's get some arm circles going back, arm circles back. And as you know, my name is Coach Chris. I am a level 3 CrossFit trainer, which means I've logged thousands of hours over many years, helping many people just like you live their best life through health and fitness. And let's move on to arms across the chest. Hug yourself, love yourself. And what does living your best life mean to you? And how does fitness fit into that picture? That's what we want to know from you as we continue to warm up and get to know our Fit Crew a little bit better. And let's move on to the wrist wave here. And while we're doing the wrist wave, let's hear from Bird Dog. Go ahead and say your name, where you're from, and why is fitness important to you in your life right now?
Hey everybody, I'm Robin from Texas, and fitness is important. I recently hit a milestone in my age, and so it got me to thinking that to take really good care of myself going forward, and not just how I look, but how I feel. So fitness fits a big part of that in my life.
Awesome. Congrats on that milestone. But most importantly, we really appreciate the example that you're setting that shows that fitness is ageless, fitness is timeless. So thank you so much, Bird Dog. Let's go ahead and move on to some high knees. High knees into chest, or if it works better, we could do some high elbows like this. And while we're doing this, let's hear from Mighty Mouse. Go ahead and say your name, where you're from, and why is fitness important to you in your life right now?
Hi, my name's Renesia. I'm from Georgia. Fitness is important to me right now because without fitness, I can't stay focused in my volunteer work. And also, the more you move, the more healthy you'll be. So fitness is important to me because it helps me to do the things I need to do in my life. And then also being healthy, I can help others.
And thank you so much for using your life in such a noble way. And so glad that this fitness is helping you to do so. Let's go ahead and move on to some calf raises. Up on the toe, back on the heel, up on the toe, back on the heel. Or if it works better, we can do some wrist extensions like this. And while we're doing this, let's hear from Reb. Go ahead, Reb, say your name, where you're from, and why is fitness important to you in your life right now?
I am Reb in Chicago. It's important to me because I feel better mentally when I make fitness a priority, and that makes me just a better person. I'm more available and have the energy to do more for other people. I feel like a better friend, a better wife. So it just helps in every aspect of my life.
Thank you so much for opening up about that, and I'm sure everyone in your circle appreciates that as well. Let's go ahead and move on to some jumping jacks, or we could do some stepping jacks if we want low impact. And so discovering our why, really peeling back the layers of the onion to figure out our most deep-seated motivations. That's the most important ingredient to find dedication and discipline to stick to this program. And we help you to discover that why when you sign up for the Committed Club Academy. And the Academy has helped hundreds of our Fit Crew family all over the world to find their motivation and to understand the science behind the most important, powerful, fundamental, basic habits that we go after in this program. why we need to drink enough water, get enough sleep, be consistent with our flexi time, of course, along with the WODs. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, please click that link that's in this video, or feel free to message me directly for details. Let's go ahead and take a break from this warm-up, and we're going to move on to the activation phase, which is where we're going to do a couple different movements that are going to help us to get specifically ready for today's workout. So the first move that we are doing today are single leg raises. And let's go ahead and have Reb demonstrate 2 reps of the single leg raise on the same leg for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then that single leg raise is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in here, and let's do 10 single leg raises together, 5 on each side. So a couple things to keep in mind. We are pointing those toes, and we are getting all the way up to about 90 degrees and then lowering back down. And let's remember, nice and slow in the warm-up here. There's a time to go fast, but right now we definitely want to move nice and deliberately, activating those muscles, getting them ready for action. And so good job here on these single leg raises. Next, we're going to do some straight leg sit-ups, and let's go ahead and have Reb demonstrate 2 reps of the straight leg sit-up for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the straight leg sit-up is actually going to look like this. So let's everyone join in, and let's do 10 reps of the straight leg sit-up together. So a couple things to keep in mind. We are laying on our back. We've got those arms behind us, and we are swinging those arms for momentum so that we can touch those toes at the top or as close as we can to it. And then we're getting all the way back down, shoulder blades on the ground at the bottom. And so good job here on these straight leg sit-ups. Next, we're going to do some plank rows. Let's go ahead and have Reb demonstrate 2 reps of the plank row for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the plank row is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in, and let's do 10 plank rows together. Now, it could be that doing this off the ground is a bit of a challenge for us, in which case we may choose to do this off of an inclined surface. And let's actually have Reb demonstrate here. We could do this off of a couch. It could be a counter. It could be a chair. It could be any inclined surface that we have available to us. But we're going to get those legs back in a nice inclined position, and we're going to row that fist into the chest. But if we're doing this off the ground as prescribed, then we're keeping the chest and the hips square with the ground. We are rowing that fist into that chest, and we are, of course, getting the full range of motion with the elbow pointing behind us. And so good job here on these plank rows. Next, what I'd like you to do is let's go ahead and grab a light pair of dumbbells if we have them. By light, I mean 10 pounds or less, 5 kilos or less. Now, if we don't have a light pair of dumbbells, then anything light will do. It could be a pair of shoes. It could be a couple pillows. It could be a couple teddy bears. Whatever the case, it's got to be super light. We always start light before we go heavy, if at all. So with these dumbbells in hand, we're going to do some dumbbell deadlifts. And let's go ahead and have Reb demonstrate 2 reps of the dumbbell deadlift for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then these dumbbell deadlifts are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 dumbbell deadlifts together. So a couple things to keep in mind at the start of the deadlift. Those dumbbells are going to be on the ground, and we can tilt them forward. So just at least one head of the dumbbell is on the ground there. But it's going to be on the ground, touching the ground right outside the foot. And we're going to have those hips super low, chest up, shoulders back. We're looking straight ahead. And we're going to take a deep breath in and brace that core as we drive the ground away, getting the shoulders back at the top. And we want to make sure that we are bracing on the way back down as well. And so good job here on these dumbbell deadlifts. Next, we're going to do some dumbbell power cleans. Let's go ahead and have Reb demonstrate 2 reps of the power clean for us. And if we are doing this seated position, then those power cleans are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the power cleans together. So a couple things to keep in mind. Those dumbbells are going to start on the ground in the same way as the deadlift. And then as soon as we reach those knees, we're going to jump those dumbbells up to the shoulders, elbows pointing forward, not out to the side. And this could be a lot of jumping and landing, in which case we don't need to do the power clean. We could do a muscle clean. Let's have Reb demonstrate a couple reps here. So the same range of motion, getting those dumbbells to the shoulders without the jump and the land. But good job here on these power cleans. And finally, we're going to do some strict press. Let's go ahead and have Reb demonstrate 2 reps of the strict press for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then that strict press is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the strict press together. So a couple things to keep in mind. The dumbbells are going to start on the shoulders. Those elbows are pointing forward, not out to the side. And then we're going to take a deep breath in and press those arms back, getting those biceps into the ear. And on the way back down, we want to point those elbows forward again as well. Elbows pointed forward and up there. And so good job here on this strict press. Well, that is it for the activation phase. Now we're going to move on to the movement prep, which is where we're going to practice specifically the 3 movements that we're doing in today's workout. The first move is Renegade Rows. And to demonstrate the Renegade Row, let's go ahead and have Reb demonstrate 4 reps for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then those Renegade Rows are going to look like this. So let's go ahead and let's do 10 Renegade Rows together. Now it could be that doing the Renegade Row is a bit hard on the wrist, in which case that's completely fine. We could actually do some bent over rows off of a bench or off of a chair. We're going to get our hand and knee on that surface, and we're looking straight ahead, rowing that dumbbell up to the chest, and then all the way back out, all the way back down until that arm is locked out. But if we're doing this as prescribed from the ground, then just like the plank rows that we were doing in the activation phase, we're in a nice plank position. And we are rowing that dumbbell into the chest. And notice how Robin is actually doing a version with 1 dumbbell here supporting the hand on the ground while rowing with the other one. That is completely acceptable as well. But we may have those who actually choose to support their hands on the handle of the dumbbell and row into the chest. And let's remember, no matter what we choose, to keep those hips down and keep that core nice and engaged. So good job here on these Renegade rows. The second move that we're doing in today's workout is V-ups. And let's go ahead and have Reb demonstrate 2 reps of the V-up for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then those V-ups are going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the V-ups together. Now, it could be that doing this with both legs is a bit much for our lower back. As we build the core strength, maybe we can work up to doing both legs. We may choose to do the single leg variation that we see Bird Dog doing here. And so we're reaching with both hands to one toe, alternating legs each time. And we're going to keep that same rep scheme. No need to double the reps or anything like that. But if we're doing it as prescribed, so notice Reb here, using both legs and reaching the toes there. If we're not able to reach those toes with both hands and both legs, then for sure, let's definitely modify to do the single leg version until we build that core strength. And so good job here on the V-ups, whether double leg or single leg. The third move that we're doing in today's workout is dumbbell push presses. So let's grab that pair of light dumbbells that we just had, the same one, and let's go ahead and practice the dumbbell push press. And let's have Reb demonstrate 3 reps for us. And if we are doing this from the seated position, then the push press is going to look like this. So let's everyone join in and let's do 10 reps of the push press together. So the push press is going to be similar to that strict press that we were just doing, except now we're going to have the hips and the legs contribute to the motion. And so we're going to start with the dumbbells on the shoulders. We're going to have a nice little dip, bending those hips and those knees. And then we are going to stand press, lock it out. And we're still pressing backward with those arms. It's very common for us to press kind of forward. We actually want those dumbbells to lock out right over the back of our head. And so we're getting those dumbbells on the shoulders, bending those hips and those knees, driving with the legs, but then getting the biceps into the ears at the top. And so good job here on these push presses. Well, now it's ramp up time. If you've been doing this program long enough to start earning badges and you'd like to start adding some weight to do either the scaled, intermediate, or RX weight on those dumbbells, then let's start to gradually add some weight, doing some practice sets of at least 4 to 6 of both the Renegade Row and the push press, adding a little bit of weight each time until we get to the weight that we want to use for our division. We don't have to rush to a super heavy weight. We've got plenty of time for you to do at least 3 to 4 practice sets before we get the clock going here. But if we have not been earning badges, or we're just getting back into this after a long time off, then please, let's not add any weight. Those super light dumbbells or whatever other household item that you were just using in the warm-up is going to be more than enough for us today. Seriously. It's very important that we have the right form and consistency with all our habits, as evidenced by earning that badge. before we've earned the right to add or reintroduce intensity, such as by adding weight or going fast. And whether we're adding weight or not, let's pay close attention to the following checklist. Number 1, please make sure your device is fully charged or plugged in so we can get through this whole workout without losing you. Number 2, let's grab some water. Let's take a sip. And let's make sure we got our water nearby so we can take a sip as needed all throughout the workout. Number 3, I'm going to give everyone a 3, 2, 1, go countdown. And that's how you can synchronize your timer with mine if you choose to use one. Number 4, music. Super important, especially on a workout like today that is not short at all. We want a number of tunes that are going to keep us motivated and help us to push all throughout. So, have you given some thought to your playlist? I know your taste in music is better than mine. It's different than hers. It's definitely different than his. So, hey, you can play your music as loud as you want, as long as you can still hear me helping you throughout the workout. And lastly, how are we keeping track of these rounds? This is a 20-minute workout. Some of us are going to get more rounds. Some of us are going to get less. We're all going to do our best, but we want to know how much work we got done at the end of it. So we should have some type of scorecard or some type of system in place to help us keep track of our progress. Something that helps with that is having the workout written down close by. So if you're a teacher's pet like Mighty Mouse, with the scorecard award today, we've got Beatrice with the whiteboard award, and we've also got Bird Dog with the whiteboard, the mini whiteboard award, and of course Reb is always ready, at least digitally, or with she's traveling, so she's got the not the trusty notepad, but she is ready with the paper. Let's go ahead and take a teacher's pet picture here just to show how prepared you are. Teacher's pet picture in 3, 2, 1. Awesome. I'm going to bring the workout back on screen one more time here. Then we'll get going. So in just about a minute, we're going to start this timer. And we're about to do this Wacky Wednesday workout, which is 20 minutes. You read that right. 20 Renegade Rows, 15 V-ups, and 10 dumbbell push presses. So these Renegade Rows are going to be total. That's going to be, alternating arms, 10 on each arm. But in the case of doing the bent over rows, if that's the version that we choose to do because it's better for our wrists and our knees, then we could just do straight 10 through on each arm if we choose, or switch every 5, as long as we've done 20 total. On those V-ups, we can do 15 V-ups, whether we choose to do the single leg or double leg version, that's completely fine. And we can even choose to do those single leg raises. If those single leg V-ups start to get too taxing for us, we could raise just the leg there, and that's completely fine. And then the 10 dumbbell push presses. That's going to be with both dumbbells. And let's make sure we use those legs, get a good leg drive. And we're looking to use a weight if we've been earning badges. And we're adding weight, we still want a weight that we can get all 10 push presses in a row without putting those dumbbells down. So your score is going to be the amount of rounds you get done in these 20 minutes of the 20 Renegade Rows, 15 V-ups, and 10 dumbbell push presses. So if you are good to go, give me a thumbs up here and we'll get this started. I'm going to get our clock going here. And then I'm going to highlight Bird Dog to get us going. So 20 minutes, 20 Renegade Rows, 15 V-ups, 10 push presses, starting in 10 seconds. Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. And we are off. Doing these Renegade Rows, whether we're choosing to do the single dumbbell version, supporting with the hands on the ground, or if we are renegade rowing it out like Reb, keeping those hips nice and low. We want to have a nice tight core there. And we've got the seated variation as well, holding those dumbbells out in the extended plank position. Or if we're doing the bent over rows, if that's a better option for us. We have lots of different options here to get this in according to our circumstances. And we got Reb already onto these V-ups, so getting the full range of motion, touching those toes with both legs. If we need to do the single leg, that's awesome as well. We're reaching toward the toes, whatever version is better for us. And we got Mighty Mouse on the seated variation of these V-ups as well. And then as we finish the V-ups, we then make our way over to the push presses. So we got Reb on this push press, getting the full range of motion, locking out those arms at the top, using the legs. And let's remember to press backward with those arms there, getting the biceps into the ear. So arms back, head forward. That's what helps us to have a nice straight dumbbell path. And there goes bird dog with the arms back, head forward. Great job getting that head through. That activates those trap muscles and helps us to have a straighter dumbbell path and more vertical push. So nice work there. We are done with round one, on the way to round two. And everyone is definitely on track to finish within today's target window. And the target windows are the best way to measure our progress through this program and to help us to make the right choices to challenge ourselves appropriately. And how did the target windows work? Well, when we're first starting out, we are doing the scaled or the flex actually options. But then as we start earning badges, we may start to use some of the scaled weights and options. And as we're able to finish within the target windows with those, we can move on to the intermediate weights and options. And as we finish within the target windows with those, we can move on to the RX weights and options. And this journey to RX is different for everyone. It could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years. And to be quite honest, for many of us, it just depends on the workout too. Some workouts play more to our strengths. But as long as we continue to use the target windows as a guide, then we're challenging ourselves just the right amount and continuing to make progress. And so we are deep into these rounds here, hitting these rows, hitting these V-ups, and especially in a long workout today, pacing is going to be super important. We want to make sure that we're breathing nice and deep, practicing the belly breathing, getting that air down into the belly. The chest breathing doesn't really do much for us. We want to really make sure that we're expanding our midline, getting that oxygen way down into the belly. That gets more oxygen to the muscles, and it actually gives us some more midline stability. And so how we breathe is super important. And also the pace at which we move. On a longer workout like today, we're actually starting slower so that we can go faster toward the end. If we hit that red line way too soon, then we are done. There's not too much more we can do about it. And so we start nice and steady. with a pace that we can build on and go faster and faster. And that's how we actually maximize our power output in a longer effort like today. But nice work here, guys. We are hitting these push presses, locking it out, hitting these rows. We are doing this thing. Hitting those rows, reaching toward those toes. And then the breathing and bracing on the V-ups is super important. When we lay on our back there, that's where we want to take a deep breath in and brace as we reach for the toes. And so the constant airflow, but the constant bracing, that's always a balancing act. But over time, we learn to balance it in order to keep moving efficiently, but with intensity. And the breathing on the row is super important as well. Nice deep breath before the rep, breathing out as we hit that row at the top. On those push presses, taking a deep breath before the rep, breathing out at the top as well. But the breathing's super important, guys. But nice work here. We are in the groove in the middle part of this workout here. So we've found a pace. We are settling into that pace, not too fast, not too slow though. We don't want to undersell ourselves. We just want to keep moving at a sustainable pace here. If the V-up is a high skill move for us, we don't have to think about doing all 15 at once. We can think about doing sets of 7, 5, then 3 maybe, or even 6, 5, then 4. But whatever we choose to do, we want to have a nice sustainable rep scheme that we can hit those sets, minimize the rest, and keep moving. Full range of motion on these rows, getting that dumbbell into the chest, keeping the chest and the hips square with the ground. Pushing back with those arms. Let's lock that at the top there, Mighty Mouse. The full range of motion on all of these moves, getting us the results that we're looking for. On these rows, getting that dumbbell to the chest, pointing the elbow up and behind us, and avoiding excessive the hip sway. We want to keep the chest and the hips square with the ground here. But awesome work. We're moving, reaching toward the toes on these V-ups, whether it's the single leg or the double leg. On these push presses, that dip, pressing that out, using the legs, using the glutes. And let's remember, legs first, then arms. A lot of times we push early with the arms, but we want to jump, then punch, jump, then punch. That's what we're doing on this push press. Pressing that out, getting the arms back. And on the seated variation, range of motion is equally important. And so let's reach as far low as we can, Mighty Mouse, reaching all the way up. We want to move fast, but we want to move well. And bird dog moving well, getting the head through, arms back. You might want to experiment with just a slightly narrower stance there, bird dog. Let's get those feet a little closer together. It's going to give you more power, pushing power with those dumbbells. And that just goes to show that these compound movements that require the whole body, everything contributes. We may think the push press is mostly an upper body thing, but where our feet are, how we're using our legs, how we're using our glutes makes a big difference. We got Reb on this as well. Let's make sure we're doing legs first there, Rebs. And so jumping that up, punching that back. Legs first, then arms, locking that out. And we are over the halfway point here, guys. So we are definitely in our zone, doing our thing, moving nice and well. We're at a pace that we don't need to slow down, and we're definitely not redlining. We're focused, we're moving. We have a smart rep scheme on all these movements. So this set of Renegade Rows is 20. It's big, but we're moving nice and steady through it. Maybe doing sets of 12 then 8, or breaking this up however we need to. Maybe even shorter sets, but minimizing that rest. And we got Mighty Mouse on these rows as well. And notice the breathing there. She's getting that deep breath in, bracing, but pulling back. And we got Beatrice on these push presses, using those legs, pressing that out, getting those arms into the ears. And so far, everyone has picked a good weight that's helping you to get through those sets of 10 unbroken. And so we want to challenge ourselves, but we want to pick a weight that helps us to keep moving. So we're holding on to those dumbbells, hitting all 10. And nice reach there, bird dog. Let's keep reaching toward those toes. Let's take nice strategic breaks as needed, or she's done with that set. There she goes already on to, boom, these push presses. And so using those hips, using those legs, much better foot stance. She remembered from the last time. And getting much more power in that push. And we are out here, guys, doing our thing. Hitting the push presses, hitting these rows. And we are hitting these rows, breathing, bracing. And as we get toward the end, we're gonna start racing. But right now, let's just hold formation. We're still moving steady in this nice consistent pace here. Making sure we're keeping those hips down on these rows, keeping a nice tight plank formation, so no piking. As we get tired, it's easy to let some of these things slip, but good form is always the highest priority. So we're getting that dip. We're pushing those arms back. On these V-ups, we're reaching as far as we can. Whether we're reaching toward the toes or whether we're reaching toward the ground in the seated position, we are moving well. Taking nice strategic breaks, moving on to the next thing. We got bird dog. About to hit these V-ups here. Deep breath, reaching toward the toes. Deep breath, reaching toward the toes. And here we go. In a 20-minute workout, the last 5 minutes is where we really want to focus and not let things slip. We've been in this for 15 minutes. We've got just under 5 minutes left. Let's really focus. Let's hold on to this pace. And let's see if we can even empty the tank as we get toward the last 3 minutes here. But let's hold the course. Let's stay nice and steady. We are hitting these push presses. Keeping the feet underneath the hips, hitting that dip, hitting that drive, locking it out. Full range of motion. So awesome work. Let's keep moving. Let's keep pushing. Let's do our thing. Breathing through these sets. And then moving on to the next one. Staying nice and tight on these Renegade rows. As we get tired, it's easy to want to tighten it out, but we are keeping a nice tight plank position. And time flies when we're having fun. We are at the 3-minute warning. So this is now where we put the pedal to the metal. This is where we light it up. This is where we kick it in gear. This is where we see who we're made of. We keep moving well, but we are now doing our best to move fast, to see what we can do. We want to move with no regrets. So let's do this thing. We are hitting these V-ups. We are hitting these push presses. Reaching toward the toes. Full range of motion. Doing our best to take shorter rests in the last 2 minutes left here. We want to know we did everything we could. Every single rep. We are getting through these push presses. We finish one round. We start the next one. We've got 90 seconds left here to do everything we can. Let's leave it all on the floor. Let's do what we can do. In this workout, we are forging the better version of ourselves that we are fighting so hard to be. We're working hard here because we want to work hard out there. We want to be better people, and every rep is a chance to demonstrate that. So let's do that. Let's be better, 1 rep at a time. We're going to keep moving. We've got just about 30 seconds to prove who we are. We're going to keep moving. We're going to move well. If we finish a round, we start the next one. We've got 15 more seconds. Let's get another rep. Let's get another rep. Let's get another rep. 3, 2, 1. And time. Believe it or not, we finally made it here. 20 minutes later, and Reb couldn't be happier. But good job here, guys. And I'll tell you what, we're not done yet. We're at the best part of the workout, which is the cool down stretch. This stretch is super important to help us fight soreness, increase flexibility, so we can come back day after day, staying consistent and committed. So the first stretch that we're going to do today is the child's pose stretch. And that's going to be where we've got those arms out in front of us and those hips back, and we are sinking into this pose here, which is a really good stretch for the upper back. And I'd like to challenge you, if you have some type of elevated surface that you can get your hands up on top of, and you can lower your chest down like this. Or if we're doing this from the seated position, then we're going to get those arms up and pull back like this. And while we're doing this, let's reflect on the workout. Let's do some high-low buffalo. So, high. What is one thing you feel you did well in the workout today? Low. What is something you want to do better the next time it shows up? And buffalo. What is something that surprised you about the workout today? While we're thinking about that, let's switch here and let's get into the puppy dog. So we're going to shift the hips over the knees and get that chest into the ground, really opening up the back. Or if we have an elevated surface, I want us to get our elbows up on that surface and then drop that chest like this. And while we're over here, let's hear from Red. And if we're doing this from the seated position, then let's get those hands on the shoulder blades and pull back like this. But what is your high-low buffalo, Red?
My high were the V-ups because they were killer. I wanted to push to single leg, but I didn't. The low was, I'm not at my house, so I don't have my dumbbells. I would have gone heavier, but that's fine. You work with what you got. And the buffalo is that despite the light dumbbells I had, it was still killer. I just did more rounds and I got a really good workout in.
And that's how that goes. We use what we have, we do what we can. You still made the most of it. You didn't sandbag the workout. You're like, well, lighter dumbbells means I got to work harder. That's the mentality we're looking for. And so good job, Red. Let's go ahead and switch to thread the needle. So we've got one arm forward, other arm through, and we are sinking into this like this. And while we're over here, let's hear from Bird Dog. And if we're doing this from the seated position, we're getting the one arm across the chest, pulling back like this. But what is your high-low buffalo, Bird Dog?
My high would be the dumbbell push press. I was really happy that after 2 rounds I increased my weight, so that was my high. My low was probably the rows. I could feel my wrists kind of struggling a bit, but I was really happy to make it through. So it was actually a good low. And then, yeah, the buffaloes along those lines was the pace. I was able to keep the same pace, so it was a good workout. I was surprised the number of rounds I was able to get.
And good job, definitely being smart about it. We never, we're off the pain train here, right? And so, but you picked a good position with your hands. You did the right version of the Renegade Row for you that helped you to push that plank position, but to still give yourself the support you needed. And let's go ahead and thread the needle on the other side. So we've got the other arm forward, other arm through, and we are sinking into this like this. And while we're over here, let's hear from Beatriz. And if we're doing this from the seated position, we're getting the other arm across the chest, pulling back like this. But what is your high-low buffalo, Beatriz?
Mi alto fue bent overalls en dumbbell push press. Mi bajo fue V-ups, pero lo he hecho con un solo pie a la vez. Y lo que me sorprende, he hecho 8 rondas. Estoy muy contenta por esto. Es un logro, pasé la meta. Muchas gracias, coach.
Man, you were on fire. And so glad you were able to crank out so many rounds. All this means is we need you to go heavier next time. Let's break out some heavier dumbbells and let's really let you loose. But good job there, Beatrice. Well, that's our WOD, that's our stretch, that's our high-low buffalo. Let's go ahead and hit this Wacky Wednesday sweaty selfie, because does this count if we don't take this selfie? Let's flex on the camera, guys. Here we go. Sweaty selfie in 3, 2, 1. And crazy face. And let's put the fist in the middle for the cheer. On 3, 2 claps, fit crew. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Fit crew.
Fit crew. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoy this program, then please give this channel a subscribe, a like, and a share. Thank you very much, and see you next time.